Hello, and welcome to the Anacostia Community Museum's virtual opening of Men of Change Power, Triumph, Truth. The exhibition is a needed reminder of Black men's historical achievements in the face of incredible odds and obstacles. It is also a testament to the dedicated and creative museum staff who adapted during the pandemic to reimagine this powerful exhibition. Formally planned for display inside the museum, it has been redesigned for installation outdoors in Ward 7's Deanwood neighborhood. Thank you to everyone from the Smithsonian Traveling Exhibition Service who developed this exhibition. And special thanks to the Ford Motor Company Fund for their generous support. Bringing to life this diverse collection of art, photography, and poetry that tells the stories of influential Black men was an impressive feat, especially during this difficult time. Throughout history, African American men have contributed mightily to the tint and texture of the United States. They powered the country's agriculture, transportation, infrastructure, and industry. They have built businesses, developed life-changing inventions and innovations, and fought for our freedoms abroad, even when they didn't have them at home. Of course, the contributions of Black women are equally consequential and deserve to be told. But with the memories of so many like George Floyd serving as a reminder of the unique challenges Black men face, this exhibition arrives at a perfect time. With Men of Change, the Anacostia Community Museum celebrates many of the men who inspired me, like James Baldwin and W.B. Du Bois. And it shines a spotlight on those who continue to speak to new generations, like Ta-Nehisi Coates and Kehinde Wiley. Their stories that have been historically marginalized, stories often missing from museums, typify the Anacostia Community Museum. I visited early in my career at the Smithsonian when it was still in a movie theater and known as the Anacostia Neighborhood Museum. I sought the counsel of the museum's legendary founder, John Kennard, a mentor to me and the embodiment of a man of change in his community. He explained the responsibilities of a curator and spoke emphatically about what a museum could and should be. His vision for ACM was a model that we continually look to as we built the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Many of his convictions guided me during that arduous process of bringing that museum to fruition, as they do today as the Secretary of the Smithsonian. This exhibition, like so much of ACM's work, honors John's vision by bringing it outside the walls of the museum, onto pedestrian walkways and into storefront windows, and projected across building facades after dark. Members of the neighborhood can walk among the living examples of successful Black men. They can see themselves. This exhibition is central to our institutional goals to fully represent the breadth of diversity in the nation and in our neighborhoods. We hear a lot about diversity, equity, accessibility, and inclusion today. These are more than buzzwords. They are values, ideas embedded in our national motto, out of one, many, or out of many, one. If we are to make our communities better, make our country better, we must embrace these goals and make them real. The men in this exhibition are a small cross-section of successful African American men, but they also represent many whose success is less fabled, but no less heroic. History is replete with examples of those who struggled but persevered to give their children a chance at a better life, to seek justice, to inspire the country to live up to its ideals. All of us who have attained a measure of success owe these forebears a great deal of gratitude, irrespective of the fame they've obtained. I hope this exhibition reminds us all of them too. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for the opening panel discussion for Men of Change, Taking It to the Streets, hosted by the Anacostia Community Museum. My name is Haley Francis, and I am very excited to share with you that today we have a wonderful panel lined up for you, which will be hosted by CNN Correspondent Omar Jimenez. Omar, take it away.
Thanks, Haley. Thanks everyone for being here. We are super excited for this conversation. We've got a lot of great things to talk about, and more importantly, a lot of great perspectives that we're bringing to the table in this virtual seminar here. So I want to get some of these introductions going so you get to know some of the people we'll all get to hear from soon. So first, we have Jonathan Jackson. He is principal of We Should Do It All. That's a contemporary design studio that translates clients' needs into dynamic visual systems that can be presented at multiple scales. The solutions take the form of branding, interactive, books, environmental, even spatial projects. And he has a multifaceted design portfolio with a lot of brands that you know, like Nike and their 150,000 square foot headquarters in New York, and so many more. We're excited to get more into what he's doing as well. So Jonathan, thank you for being here. We also have Tariku Shiferaw. He is a New York-based artist who explores mark making through painting, and we're going to see exactly what that means in a little bit, and it's really fascinating. And installation art and addressing the physical and metaphysical spaces of art and social structures. He was raised in LA, but currently lives and works in New York City, and his exhibitions have been seen in museums across the country, including has been part of exhibitions, I should say, across the country, including the 2017 Whitney Biennial as part of Occupy Museum's Debt Fair project at the Whitney Museum of American Art in New York, at the Zuckerman Museum of Art in my hometown of Kennesaw, Georgia, and then of course, the Men of Change organized by the Smithsonian Institution and currently held at the California African American Museum. So can't wait to talk to you more soon, Tariku. And then finally, we have Dr. Rob Gore. He is a dynamic lecturer, speaker, activist. I think you're gonna see all that come to life soon. An emergency medicine physician based in Brooklyn for close to 20 years in both his personal life and professional one. Dr. Gore has explored and continues to develop programming and solutions focusing on community, violence, and other disparities affecting urban and global health. Again, thank you all so much for being here. And I want to start with you, Dr. Gore. You were selected as a man of change as part of this exhibition. And that's because of your approach to protecting the emotional and physical health of young Black men in Brooklyn. We know a very vulnerable population, not just in Brooklyn, but across the country as well. How has the pandemic impacted the work that you do through your Kings Against Violence program?
I think the pandemic, first of all, I want to thank everyone for being out here today. I'm really fortunate and excited about continuing to be a man of change. But thinking about the pandemic itself, I think the pandemic just highlighted a lot of the inequities that have already existed within our community, whether limited access to health care, poor social support systems, poor economic development. When I speak often about what's required in order for a person to be at their best. When I talk with my parents and spoke with them about why they went into education or why they went into media and why they went into activism, one thing my dad would say is I wanted to make sure we were in a position to show our people at their best. And in order to be at your best, you have to have certain things in place: food, clothing, shelter, and security. So if you remove any of those elements from the equation, it further accentuates your ability to do well under any given circumstance, and particularly illness. COVID-19 has affected millions of people around the globe, but for some reason, poor people aren't faring as well. Those of us who work in these spaces, I've been a physician at Kings County Hospital for more than 15 years, and before that, I was at Cook County Hospital in Chicago. And most of us weren't surprised at all. And it's because our patients and our communities didn't always have the things that were necessary, important for their long-term survival and well-being. So I think this is the first of many discussions on making sure that the people in our communities get what they need to do well and be at their best.
Yeah, that's a topic I've covered throughout this pandemic as well, is that it seemed to, as you mentioned, expose the inequities that were already in the system and just exacerbate them and make them more on the forefront of you can't ignore it, is basically the bottom line now, as opposed to it may have been ignored before. Now part of this, Tariku, I want to bring you into this conversation because you depicted Dr. Rob Gore in your series, One of These Black Boys, where you explore mark making. And I want you to get into that because I saw some of your images and it's so fascinating, because I thought it was literally making your mark on society. but it is a physical form of art that you are depicting in these exhibitions. So explain what that is, and then how it pertains to the way that you chose to depict Dr. Gore.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on this talk, everyone. Very honored to be here. And my in this particular work, when the Smithsonian had invited me to depict, Dr. Rob Gore, I was just, the first thing I wanted to do was meet with Rob, and I've already read so much about him with everything that he's been doing and everything. And so I was wondering, to begin with, I was wondering why they coupled us in this particular exhibition. And I realized shortly after I found out what he was working on and how he was reaching back to the community, especially the African American community and all that, I realized the work that I do, first of all, this series, One of These Black Boys, deals with mark making, right? In a way that we talk about how we exist in society, how we enter back into society without being erased, like we have been historically, whether through the art world, or even just in the regular workplace, or whatever discovery we make, our names would be sort of in the background. And so with never having an opportunity to make a mark within the society that we live in or exist in, and when we do, it's just a few of us that do that. And so Dr. Rob here was actually reaching into the community where these kids or young adults were not heard, and he was making space for them to be heard. And that's how his biggest impact with KAVI was really reaching to people that were not being heard, and he was listening. He was, he created a community that they felt like they were heard. He felt like they were given space. And so my work really deals with creating space, marking a place, marking a space within my art making, within painting. Like actually in the history of painting, especially abstraction, there's this thing we refer to as mark making. It was just really like the marking of the surface of the paint. And I took that idea into sort of also marking myself into society, into history, given that, the likes of myself from generations prior were not allowed to make those marks. And so I sat in my studio in 2016, and I'm like, how do I leave a mark in the world, in society, being the color that I am, the person that I am within a Western Eurocentric society. And that's really how it began. Hopefully we'll share some slides later on and talk more in depth about the work. But this specific work that I did depicting Dr. Rob, really, I use titles in my work to make these marks. And so for me, using hip hop, R&B, jazz, blues, reggae, Afrobeats, music that I identify with, music from the African diaspora, happened to be the way that I wanted to mark these very well-known, abstract movements and abstract paintings into something that is outside of painting, outside of art, but more into culture, more into society, by ways in highlighting or introducing other histories to the arts for me. And so in doing that, I used a song titled "We Will Never Die" by Gore, and in reference to Rob, because what he was doing is really literally physically saving lives, but also reaching out, to society, to a community, through the hearts, through the being there, through the idea of, mentorship and whatnot. And so "We Will Never Die" was is a form of resistance, right? It's a form of like, hey, like we're here to live, we're here to do that. And so I wanted to use that title specifically in reference to what Rob has been doing and what he, lives for in this particular situation and action.
Yeah. Yeah, and we will look through some of those in a little bit, and I'm excited. And actually, that I'm glad you brought up why why you include certain hip hop artists and stuff in your work, because I was scrolling through and I was like, all right, I know Gold Link, but that could be coincidence. But then you have a Cardi B and another one, you know what I mean? So it's really interesting. I want to get into that process later, but I also want to bring in Jonathan Jackson in this. And Jonathan, I mean, you come from a design, as we talked about in your bio, in many cases, a spatial design background. And for this particular exhibition, look, it's no secret, you're Black, you're a husband, you're a father. This has to have been a very personal project to be considered for. How did your personal experiences, if at all, design or influence, I should say, your design approach?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's funny that you hit on that point, because in our very first meeting with Sites and talking to Marquette and Haley, it was like, I felt a weight of responsibility that we get this project, that we take this on. And me personally, growing up as a person who didn't have their father in their life, who just had, I think this project started in 2017. So my son was 1. Yeah, that weight was ever present. And I wanted the project so bad. I remember those first meetings, but it was a responsibility that I just really was thinking about the type of people that could be involved in the show. As far as like the Men of Change, the artists, we just came to it with full enthusiasm, and like really, hopefully we push Sites just as much as they push us as far as the type of content that we wanted to show. And but yeah.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at some of what you brought. I want people to have a chance to kind of see some of the work that you've been doing, especially in this space as well. And I mean, for a design guy like you, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, I'll take it. Everyone can see?
Oh yeah, I can see it great.
Right, awesome. So in our pitch to Sites, one thing that stood out to us right away, the book from Ralph Ellison, Invisible Man. This quote, especially the part, "I am invisible, I understand simply because people refuse to see me." We really wanted to play with this idea of being able to see these men, the diverse stories that they can tell, our people, and the diverse stories that we shared with the world, and frankly, how we built this country. And I feel like the idea of playing with opacity and transparency, where these men were going to be our shining stars, our Black stars in a way. So when you visit the show, you see them in these bright light boxes, but the structure of the show are built on these series of poles. And that's this idea of really not being able to see through, but always being able to focus right then on that person or that story that's right in front of you. The exhibition is built on 7 themes: loving, catalysts, storytellers, myth breakers, fathering, community builders. I feel like I'm forgetting one, but so each theme gets an arc that you see to the drawing on the right. And the arc is designed to feel more like you've entered to another space rather than a wall. We wanted it to be more sort of all-encompassing of the body, so it's sort of wrapping around as you enter each nook. And then each theme has what you see here, an intro piece. And then what we really wanted to push, we have all this didactic information, but we were looking for secondary and tertiary layers to tell these stories too. So we should do it all, really push Sites to involve artists as another layer to the exhibition. So it was sort of co-curated by my wife, Sarah, Haley, and Marquette Foley, who was the overall curator of the show.
And John, I want to throw a question in just as you continue on this. I mean, look, for someone like you, who didn't have his father in his life, and now you have a chance to sort of write your own story for the next generation. What is it like to have your son be in this space, in some ways, be in the essence of your consciousness, of what you've created? What does that feel like?
Good question. I haven't really thought about it on those levels, those terms, but the idea of him and now his brother being able to, he's coming into 5 and starting to understand what we do a little bit better. But the idea that we've created these spaces, not only this exhibition, but a few others that we're proud of, and just work in general around Black storytelling, I'm hoping that we can leave a small legacy that he can be proud of his parents, very simply on that level, and share it with the next generation that he'll have, you know, and just very simple. You know, to be honest, I haven't thought about it in such a deep understanding, but just leaving something that he could be proud of, and know that his parents were really pushing as a part of this overall movement to a degree through what we know, which is design. So that's something that I'm pretty proud of, and hopefully we can continue in that vein. But as I was mentioning, we really wanted to get another layer into the story, and thinking of artists like Tariku and others to depict these 24 men. So on the perimeter of the space, you see a series of beautiful art that's been curated quite closely by Sites and We Should Do It All. So on the left, you see Jelson Lee Innocent depicting W.E.B. Du Bois, Shante Gates depicting Dick Gregory, who he provided 2 different mediums, video and sort of collage. Robert Pruitt on the left depicting Ta-Nehisi Coates, and Nina Chanel Abney depicting Andrew Young. So there's, you know, quite a few different artists, and we looked at close to 75 people and narrowed it down to, you know, the 24 that we have. And I'm really proud of this part of the exhibition, just because we were able to bring something unexpected to the table that Sites wasn't really thinking of. And yeah, like I said, I'm just hoping that we really got to push them as much as they pushed us, and I think we did that. Yeah, and it led to, you know, I think what's great about Rob and Tiriku's relationship is they lived in the same area, so they got to connect. Not all the artists got to connect with the men, of course, but I'm really glad that we have this relationship on screen here today, because it shows that the exhibition goes further than just you know, art on the wall. It's them developing a relationship. They even wore the same colors today and didn't tell me, so I would have wore the blue and black too. But yeah.
Amazing. And I should note as well, just for the people watching at home, this art in how it's being viewed right now isn't necessarily how it's, you know, isn't necessarily how it's going to be in the outdoor installation. It is going to look a little different from what it looks like on the inside. But we are in COVID times, and no one knows that maybe better than Dr. Gore. And Dr. Gore, I want to give you a chance to sort of bring us into the world of your life, and especially when it comes to the Kings Against Violence program. We talked a little bit about how it had been impacted over the course of this pandemic, but you had some visuals as well that you wanted to show to sort of bring us into your world.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring those up right now. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And then I know, you know, as you're bringing it up here as well, I mean, the work that you've been doing has been at the intersection of 2 different pandemics, as we've talked about, right? It's violence against the Black community, but also the devastation we've been seeing in COVID.
Well, you know, kind of like, thanks again. The issues that we're seeing with pandemic or violence, and you can apply the same thing to spread of HIV, new cases of HIV, or even complications from hypertension or complications from diabetes. These are all impacted by the same thing. But more recently, we have been affected by COVID-19. So I'm going to focus on that first. This image that I have right up here is from a documentary that I was a part of with The Atlantic, and there were a series of physicians who were sharing their stories. This is a pretty scary time to work in something and work to take care of something that you don't completely understand. And like every day we're working in the emergency departments, both at Kings County Hospital and at SUNY Downstate, we were discovering new things about how this disease affected people. And one of the key things was that it was affecting us as care providers, as well as our patients at the same rate. And to the point that even beforehand, I wound up moving out of the house. Both myself and another colleague is another ER doc. My wife was pregnant with our first child. His wife was also pregnant, but with his second child. And we decided to move out of the house, and we stayed in the Airbnb for 10 weeks. This image is one of the pics in the ER where I'm wearing one of these airway devices. I kind of like this one just because these patients can see your face. One of the fears when you're dealing with something that you don't understand and you can't see the face of the person who's supposed to be caring for you is pretty traumatic. And it's almost the same sense of what we see with violence when you have patients coming in with recurrent violence and they don't understand who the providers are. They don't understand, they've been to the hospital, they know what the hospital is, but it's a place of fear. And because there's a lot of discomfort that goes along with that. And this is just one of our rounds. This is what we look like when we're at work. Most people get a chance to work from the comforts of their laptop in their homes. I mean, it sucks just being cooped up inside, but this stuff is very real and it's traumatic. And we lost a lot of people in the process, both colleagues as well as patients. But thinking about like what I do, this is actually the first patient I took care of with COVID-19. This was his chest x-ray, which shows that he's got his lungs were really full of fluid. And to see someone who's only a few years older than you, who had no significant past medical problems, coming in with something that looked like this and being admitted to the intensive care unit, got us thinking, and we need to do something about it. And we need to make sure that we protect ourselves at all costs. Now, most of the work that I've been doing outside of the clinical space has been working with both young men and young women, or people who identify as men or identify as women, with a violence intervention program that I founded called KAVI. KAVI is an acronym that stands for the Kings Against Violence Initiative, and we are a hospital, school, and community-based violence intervention and prevention program, focusing on youth empowerment, but really ensuring that we create safe spaces for young people to thrive. Tariku spoke about making sure that this overall concept of space is understood, and ensuring that some of these stories are told. The young people that we work with come from the community. Matter of fact, the school that we launched in is directly across the street from the hospital, because not a lot of young people had those safe spaces. And we wanted to make sure that they were also heard and we could address some of the trauma that they were experiencing. This is a picture from one of the workshops that we were conducting. We have our KAVI Kings and our KAVI Queens. A lot of people just think we're just focusing on young men, but you can't focus on young men of color and not focus on young women of color, because even though some of the issues that they experience may be very different, they come from the same neighborhoods, they come from the same families. And if you're addressing one person in the family and not the others, or not the other people in that entire space, then you're going to have this perpetual cycle of violence that's going to keep happening over and over again. These are some of the young men in our program, many of which who graduated. Some of these guys in this picture were former participants. And one of the beauties of working with young people for a long period of time is to see how they evolve, both in how they thought and in their actions. This is Latasia. Latasia is one of our facilitators. She was in our first group of young queens back in 2011. And she's been running groups with us for the past few years, and is a dynamic individual and is really having that impact. At some point, I talked to my dad a lot about the civil rights movement, and same thing I talk about. There's a Hank Willis Thomas, who some of you know, who's an amazing visual artist. There's a program that he created called, him and Bayate Ross Smith. They created something called Question Bridge. And one of the people who were commenting in Question Bridge made a comment that resonated with me. He said, "Why didn't you give us the blueprint?" And this guy was talking about civil rights movement leaders not passing on the blueprint so that this movements and these types of engagement can continue at the same level that they did before. And so we always wanted to make sure that there was a level of capacity building with the young people that we were working with, so that they can take over these movements once we pass on, and so that these things don't die out with the founders. Our hospital program is a little bit different, where we work with people who've been injured. When somebody comes in with, I apologize for the graphic nature of some of these images, but this is what my work life is like. This is what the lives of many of the people in our community's lives are like. If somebody comes in who's been shot or stabbed, the likelihood of that happening again within 5 years is about 40–45%. The likelihood of them being killed within 5 years after a repeat, due to a repeat injury is as high as 20% within that 5-year time frame, which each subsequent injury increasing the chances of that person dying. This is very real stuff. These numbers are astronomical, but more importantly, they're affecting people that look like us, that come from our neighborhoods, that come from our own families. And if we're not doing something to really understand comprehensive causality, this will continue to exist. So the importance of bringing these types of interventions and really creating and cultivating these types of spaces so that people can thrive, but more importantly, be heard about the traumas that they've been experiencing, in addition to bringing forth a level of support, are going to be essential for our own personal survival and our community vitality. For people who have any interest and want to follow up more about what we do with KAVI Brooklyn, please check us out at kavibrooklyn.org. We welcome not even just financial donations, but human capital for people who are really interested in engaging with young people and their families to ensure that this cycle of intentional violence and trauma cease to exist, so we can focus on more important things. I tell people all the time, if I'm doing the same thing with the same exact program 20 years from now, that's a problem, because that means we haven't made the dent. And so we're hoping to really have this impact on our overall society so that we can have communities that really thrive. Stopping violence isn't enough. Creating opportunities for engagement and for additional opportunities to really contribute to our society is what we're really trying to focus on.
Sorry about that. I think watching your presentation, as graphic as it was at points, I think it's important for people to see, because even in my profession, one of the things we struggle with is trying to bridge the gap between the numbers and the things that we see on paper to what reality actually looks like behind those numbers, what the real stories are and what the real difficulties are in managing some of these very serious issues. And for you, Tariku, when you see the work that Dr. Gore does and you see who he is as a person, as an artist, what is your process to then try and depict that in your work? I understand, we're going to see some of the work that you do, but how do you even begin to tackle that depiction again in some of the work you do?
Great question. Rob, thank you for sharing what you just did. I think it just, just to come back to my thought process, and when I first saw what Dr. Rob was doing with the community and also with the ER, it took me aback. You realize how real these things are. We don't see this day to day in our lives, but we know it and we understand it. But it's really physical when you see all that. And so, and thinking about my work, although it's just it's visually pleasing, it's art, whatnot, but what we talk about is real, right? Like what we depict in our works. Me as an artist, as well as a whole lot of community of artists that I know, what we talk about is real life, African-American artists, specifically Black artists. And so in doing that, I really wanted to think about how every time you're not allowed in a room, you're not allowed at a table, even though you qualify for it, that's also a form of violence. And so that is what my work addresses, like the idea of being recognized, being seen. Like, some people in the past have said, I don't see color. No, you have to see color. Like there's a difference, right? It doesn't make you any, it doesn't make a difference in not seeing color. So we have to be seen. And so in doing that and depicting some of the works, let me share the work that I had made in response to Rob. This is the work that I had made. It's sort of, to give you an idea of the types of works that I make. I make paintings and installation art. Sometimes sculptural. It just sort of just lives between. This is the scene from the Men of Change show. But here's some examples of my works.
Can you go full screen actually?
I'm sorry, yeah.
Thank you.
So here's the piece that I had made to depict what Rob is doing in the small communities. We Will Never Die by Gold Link. You know, in my work, like I had mentioned earlier, I use lyrics. I use titles of songs by the Black diaspora to sort of as a form of marking my works, marking a place, right? So if the works, if my works are, you know, in a way in dialogue with art history, with abstraction and all that, I wanted to make sure that the histories that are brought in, the conversations that are brought in, are from outside of art history, from outside of art, from the culture, from the community. And for me, using, you know, song titles from hip hop to R&B, jazz, blues, reggae, and Afrobeat has been a way of depicting how our cultures sort of exist within culture, almost like a culture within a culture, right? A nation within a nation. And so there's this idea of whenever you title something, whenever you name something, it's almost like that is the identity of that thing. And so the moment I title these paintings, these art, it refers to a different history, a different story. So there's some works in here that I have that I have not depicted in the, I had not included in these presentation. But for instance, Water No Get Enemy by Fela Kuti is a piece I had made, referring back to, you know, the father of Afrobeats, right? You know, in the 1970s, he had like these movements where, you know, he wanted to do like a whole like united African nation, sort of just hang out and the idea of like, you know, just promoting Blackness and whatnot is what he was doing. So when I titled this work, Water No Get Enemy, which in Fela Kuti's terms, he was referring to how like water has no enemy, or you know, and so it's an idea of like placing these names onto paintings that are widely recognized in the Eurocentric abstraction conversations for me. So Grinding All My Life, Nipsey Hussle, is a way of, you know, talking about the streets, you know, but bringing it back into abstraction. Another thing I want to talk about is these bars. A lot of people ask me about these bars on these paintings. For me, they're, you know, heavily inspired by initially shipping pallets where I saw it in Los Angeles growing up, but also when I moved to New York, where they're all stacked up and staggered. And I thought it was very interesting to think about those visually. But then again, also bringing them into my paintings, it allowed me to think about how they could exist on this plane, on the surface of a painting, where they almost engage the background, these painterly gestures, we call them in painting, right? And sort of just engaging it in a way of either redacting, canceling, or just coexisting within the same space. And so I was just thinking about these things as a form of interruption, a way of interrupting what has been continuing since the mid 20th century abstract expressionism, where all these paintings and all these conversations about abstraction was happening, but none of these bodies that were included had looked like me. And so how do I interrupt that? And so in a way, marking the surface physically there. But that wasn't enough, because there was also other movements like geometric abstraction that look similar to this. And that's when the titling came in, where I started titling works based on music from the streets. And that is what allowed me to engage art from a perspective of the other, a perspective of like us, where we come from. And so that sort of just opened up a window to talk about, you know, these. And so when you see all these parallel lines, it's inspired by, you know, some of the physical things I have seen in my life, but what they also depict, right? Like shipping pallets were like these form of commerce, like moving commodity around. And for a long time, Black bodies and Black culture have been commoditized without the Black community benefiting from it. And so that is what my body of, you know, this one of these Black Boys series depicts in regards to, you know, abstraction, but also inviting other conversations from within the community.
It's beautiful work, and as someone who just got to experience it, you know, this week for the first time, getting to know you, it's unbelievable to see, and I really I appreciate the layers to the work that you do. I mean, you're an artist. I guess I should expect layers, but I really do appreciate the layers that you bring to the table. And I should mention for everyone watching that some of the art that you see is not necessarily on display at the outdoor version of the Men of Change exhibit. However, all of the art that is not included in the outdoor installation, but is part of it in general, can be viewed online at menofchange.si.edu. So Jonathan, I want to bring you back into the conversation because there's something about you in your industry that strikes me, is that there are not a lot of people that look like you in your industry, especially as licensed architects. I mean, as I understand, it's as low as 2% even. For you, how much do you think about that consciously when you're going into your work? Do you feel any pressure knowing that you are carrying this responsibility on your shoulders when you go into a project, knowing that you're being viewed as one of the 2%?
So one correction, I'm not a licensed architect. I want to state that because we can get in trouble.
For sure. Okay, that's fair.
I'm not a licensed architect, but definitely my education is in architecture. But still, that question is valid and worth an answer. Yes, there you do feel the weight of a community where me specifically, we have the opportunity to work with Nike quite a bit. What I try to get across when we go to these different cities and we're doing different installations or retail designs, and even with Men of Change, you know, Haley brought a young man over to me who was blown away by just the fact that he saw design in this way, where he would be influenced to not necessarily feel like he needs to shoot a hoop, but like maybe he can go into the arts and be more like Tariku or be more like myself and really explore what design can provide. I think what Rob does, what Tariku does, and I think what we are striving to do, Omar, is like really create space. Like Black excellence is something that we all thrive and want to achieve, and it's the golden thing that everyone is looking for. But I think on a more realistic level, we want to create space for lack of a better term, Black mediocrity or Black normalcy that you see in everyday whiteness, you know, like that's fully accepted. So I think we just really want to create space for just a new standard that can be accepted for young Black people. And I think when it comes to design, I'm really trying to link up with like-minded individuals to really push design to our young folks. And I think that's one of the reasons why Virgil is so important. Virgil Abloh, I don't always agree with everything he does, but I think his platform is there where he is opening the eyes, not only to our young people, but to the parents of those young people, to say that design is not just a hobby. You know what I mean? Like art is not just a hobby. So I think people like him are really important. But yeah, I think to answer your question, it's you certainly feel the weight. You want more. You want to get more interest. With every project that I do, I'm looking to see how we can involve more young people, attract them to the world of creative fields. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and one of the points that I think gets driven home in conversations like this is that, for all of the work that we do in all the industries that we have, sometimes the humanity of Black bodies get lost because society only focuses on the output of what Black bodies bring to the table, and that applies to any field, and including medicine with Dr. Gore. I mean, it's no secret that, as we were talking about before, we are at this intersection of two pandemics, one in the Black community, one in COVID, and the intersection of the two has exploded in a way that I don't think any of us would have ever wanted to see. But that's part of the work that you do as part of your profession. You also, though, as a Black man, cannot run from the fact that you are living in this society, in this world. How do you balance, in some ways, being the superhero on the front lines with the fact that you are a husband, you are a father, you have a family at home, and you are also trying to exist as a human in this society?
Excellent question. I talked during the pandemic. I was talking to a couple of my classmates from Morehouse College and also the Atlanta University Center, and people say, well, aren't you stressed about having to do these roles? Like, no, we've been preparing for this stuff for our whole lives. Conversations that I've had with my parents, my mother's a retired teacher and my dad's an activist. Our dinner conversations were, how do you initiate and how do you create community change? If you don't like it, how are you going to fix it? Even at Morehouse, that stuff continued. Even as a part of my regular life, creating pipelines. KAVI itself was born out of a pipeline program that I created for students of color. So some people ask you, are you stressed about it? I said, no, because, how's the pandemic affecting what you're doing? It hasn't affected or impacted what I'm doing, because I'm still doing the same thing that I've always been. And that's making sure that we put ourselves in a position and develop institutions that show our community at their best. There was a t-shirt that I saw in college and it said, lead, follow, or get out of my way. I think a lot of people are really so caught up on discussing the narrative instead of engaging in the narrative and providing and implementing solutions and going back to the drawing board, really kind of thinking about, design thinking, Jonathan, but really going back to the drawing board when something doesn't work and continuing to experiment and try things until it does work. And then going back to it and saying, how do we do it better, stronger, faster, and more efficient? My mission is the same. I will continue to inspire. I will continue to create institutions, but I think now I'm learning to ensure that I really do pass on that torch so that the movements that we've been a part of don't die out with the founders.
Of course. I mean, it's a complicated place to be, and going back to some of what Jonathan was talking about, there's a lot of pressure because a lot of people are in some cases rooting for us to fail in these spaces, and those stories of perseverance is an enduring theme, I think, that we've seen in the Men of Change exhibition. And so for you, Tariku, I want to give you this final question before we open it up to audience questions, because I know people are really interested. I mean, we are in this, for lack of a better term, we're in this Black creative renaissance that we've seen over the past few years, and especially over this past year with what we saw in the George Floyd protest that extended to every city. There was this idea that the pain of Black people, the pain of people in this space, was now more than just a niche thing, more than just a niche pain. That for the first time this past year, it felt like, oh, this isn't just a Black community problem, this is an American problem, or this is a problem that we are seeing in places. Why are people in Europe and Africa marching in the name of George Floyd? And so for you, in this sort of Black creative renaissance, how is the current event space, the news space, what has been happening around you impacted the work that you have done specifically over the past year?
Great question. Actually, the work that I've been doing has been the same, more or less the same. I've during the pandemic, I did start a new series called Africa Paintings. Africa Paintings is a depiction of a mapping out or or the capturing of flags of different nations around across Africa, as well as the diaspora countries like the Caribbean and whatnot, where it sort of just gets blotted out in white, and you can sort of like barely see it. So it addresses the greater issue at hand, from colonialism to everything else that we sort of just face today, and the effects of that. But to directly answer your question, I've been doing generally the same thing I've always been doing. It's just the spotlight just happens to be on us at the moment, and people get to see the work that we do now. And it's great, like people are referring to it as the Black Renaissance, where a lot of African American artists, as well as the African diaspora across the world, artists of the African diaspora, are being recognized for the craft and the works that they make. But generally, really just on point, like to what we've always been doing in this process.
Yeah, and one thing that I always help coming back to is over this past year in particular. It's not that stories around Black culture were lacking. It's not that. Those stories have always been told. I think what we've seen over the past year and a half is that there seems to have been more of an acceptance outside of the Black community for some of these stories, whether it is anything like, whether it's just white guilt in some of these spaces, or truly just a realization that we are missing out on a huge part of what this country has been built on, the backs that this country has been built on. And so it's been fascinating to see, and I love talking to people in the artist space just on how they've been navigating what has been an extraordinary time, for better and for worse as well. So I want to open it up to audience questions. So if anyone is watching, if you have a question, send it in the Q&A, and we'll get these questions to some of our amazing panelists. I want to do a quick, basically just want to let you know how you can see some of what is available as part of the Men of Change Taking It to the Streets exhibition. So it is open. You can see it until May 31st, this year. The address is 4800 Meade Street Northeast in Washington, D.C. It is an outdoor exhibition, as we have said, in the days of COVID. But you'll also be able to, as we mentioned, you can see a lot of this exhibit online as well at menofchange.si.edu. So, all right, let's get into some of these questions here. It looks like we've got a few coming in at the moment. This first one is for Jonathan. It comes from Marquette Folly. What does the artist designer, Jonathan, that would be you, think about the reimagining of his core exhibition by the Anacostia Community Museum as they quote unquote took it to the streets?
Yeah. And it should be noted, Marquette is the head curator of Men of Change.
Okay, all right. Inside.
Yeah. I think we lost Omar. But to keep it rolling, Marquette, the takedown show that lives outside in DC is quite beautiful in the sense that Patrick and Assembly Design were able to adjust the scale, adjust to outdoor conditions. I'm even curious to what materials they use to combat the snow and weathering of the content. But I think it's a beautiful transition to a different condition.
Jonathan, were you the one sharing the images from the show currently up right now?
The outdoor one?
Oh, that was
the outdoor one.
Did you want me to go back to something?
That was Haley.
That would be great if you continue sharing more images.
Yeah. And then just looking at another question. I'm a mom of two Generation Z teenagers. How do you suggest that we encourage the diverse Gen Zers to lean into the change movement? Mine are already. Love to hear suggested resources and techniques. I'm going to point this one to Rob. The idea of the idea of getting more young people involved in the movement.
Excellent question. My dad got a chance to meet Dr. King when he was about 16, 17 years old, and was mentored by C.T. Vivian from that point on up until his passing last year. And most civil rights movements, whether you're looking at situations that took place in the United States, or even I think about the protests of Soweto, or even any major change movement have always involved young people. They know what the problems are. Parents and caretakers aren't always comfortable with the decisions to engage in something that may put them at risk for scrutiny. I know that was a big problem with the civil rights movement of the 60s. My grandfather told my father, you get arrested, I'm not coming to get you. And so it's kind of like, well, dang, if I go to jail, what am I going to do? But I think people are so concerned about the scrutiny that it might bring, instead of thinking about the changes that may actually occur as a part of the engagement process. The first thing would be to discuss the problem. What are the issues at hand? Then you're going to start to identify what are the concerns? How do you want to change? Change can be instituted in a number of different ways. It might be through writing, it may be through sharing on social media. It may also be going out into the streets. In some cases, it may be all of the above. But the goal is to not be stagnant. The goal is to maintain. I'm looking at these images right now. One in particular is Bob Moses, who I met. I went to college with his daughter, but Bob Moses was very active with the Freedom Rides, but then also has been influential at teaching kids how to do math as a result of the Algebra Project. So I think when you start, kids have an idea of how the world runs, parents have an idea of how the world runs. It's up to us to help them see how those different connections can be provided, so that it becomes something that becomes very personalized. If you act like what's happening with civil and community change is something that happens to someone else's community and not something that's directly linked to your own community, then you're not going to engage, and it's not personalized, and then those movements die. But I think the first thing is to start with having those basic discussions and discuss what your concerns are, but also your fears.
Yeah, absolutely. Omar, we got Omar back, right?
Yeah. My internet just went out, so I'm off mobile hotspot right now. So thank you guys for bearing with that. Virtual times, we love it. So I want to keep some of these audience questions going, and thank you guys for jumping. As these audience questions have coming in,
I found this on the web.
That I think is very interesting is, what are some of the ways to build a bridge over the algorithm, so to speak, in your various practices? How do you tackle that algorithm? And you know what, I should add on to that. What do you even interpret as the algorithm in our society right now?
Yeah, I think this is a really good question. I think to answer yours first, Omar, I feel like the algorithm is what we talked about earlier. If you look in any field, the lack of representation that is present in Rob's field, in your field, in Tariku and mine, and when it comes to the creative fields, it's just a lack of Black and brown people of color in these spaces holding it down. So I feel like the algorithm has to do with who's being looked at, who's being chosen for work, who's getting the exhibitions, who's getting the jobs. And I think, what are the ways to build a bridge? I think it comes from one of the things that we work in corporate America a lot, and we're constantly questioning, are these corporations in it for the long haul? And it's easy to throw money at stuff. Money is needed, I'm not knocking that, but like getting down to true community investment relationships, starting in middle school with some of these corporations to different parts of Black and brown youth, I think is one way to start. And it's not just throwing money at stuff, but really human to human relationships. Mentorship is another popular thing to do. But yeah, I'll leave it up to Rob and Tariku to take over. But that's just a start.
You want to tackle it second, Tariku?
Sure. Sure. I'm sorry if I may summarize what I understood from the question. You're talking about some of the possibilities of some of the algorithms that may work. Well, inclusion has always been like the toughest part, like in every aspect, right? It's just not in the arts, not only in the arts, but in every profession And for me, it's been interesting. Some of the things that I really loved about Dr. Rob and what he's done is like reaching back to community to sort of just bring them to. I mean, listen, but also to give them an opportunity to grow outside of that trauma. And so that trauma sort of exists in so many different versions, so many different ways, whether subtle or heavy on, right? For me, it's always been thinking about these systems, like how do we pull one another up? Also, it's in another. It's a way I've always thought about it. So I could speak about my lane, and for me, I started curating shows last year, right, 2020, and I wanted to see the conversations that I wanted to see I wanted to put on conversations that I want to see exist in the world. And one of the shows that I co-curated was titled Abstraction in the Black Diaspora with Ayanna Dozier, and there was 4 of us artists involved in this conversation, and brought on, new artists that have not, shown with us before and whatnot, and thinking about others and sort of just, engrafting like others into these conversations, those that, might not have the opportunity to be a part of this conversation, but yet their works is, phenomenal and great. So thinking about like, speaking of just within my lane, getting those conversation out, but also leaving something that lasts beyond this moment. Like one of the things that I wanted to do with that show was make sure that there was a book accompanied with that exhibition, and that book is this. I don't know if you guys can see it, written by Ayanna. So it's titled Rebellious Inventions: Abstraction in the Black Diaspora by Ayanna Dozier, sponsored by False Flag, and that is something that we can leave for the next generation. It's conversation, in this particular case, it's within my lane, and conversation about abstraction, the history of abstraction, but also Black artists in the conversation of, abstraction and the history of it. And so to see this 20 years from now at the MoMA bookstore, the Whitney, or somewhere else, it sort of starts changing the narrative, and it starts changing the possibilities for future generations. And for me, I sort of think of it in that way, like what we do now affects generations 20 years from now.
Yeah. And Dr. Gore, I want to give you the final word here, because I know you got a busy day ahead of you. And I want to tack on one extra thing to that question of the algorithm, because I think it's a very interesting concept. In your work, in some way, based on the community that you work in, you are in many senses fighting the algorithm. And so for you, how do you do that? And is it a daunting fight? Do you feel like it's a daunting fight?
I'm answering that question now as somebody who's been doing the work, at least through KAVI. Like we started doing that over 10 years ago. But if you'd asked me that same question back in 2011, I might have given you a different answer, and I probably would have had a very different level of stress look on my face. I think with any sort of movement, even just kind of tackling these algorithms, the first thing that needs to happen is you have to take the movements to the people who need it the most, identifying who their most vulnerable are, and then figuring out how do you access them instead of figuring out how can they access you. If we, in some cases, even with KAVI itself, it was only supposed to be a hospital-based intervention with a slight community component, but recognized, one, why do we have to make sure that people are patients in order for us to access them? And number two, It's like, what are we doing to deal with the things in our own backyard? And began to do work, taking our programming to the school that was directly across the street from the hospital itself. Then on top of that is identifying, you can't do this work by yourself. You might start it by yourself, but for all of these movements, businesses, platforms, there needs to be a level of sustainability. And as a part of that sustainability is the identification of like-minded individuals who are supporting and have a very similar vision, but they don't have to operate in the same exact fashion. And you have to be okay with that as a founder or anybody who's participating. I work in the emergency department, and it's a dynamic, constantly changing system. And so you have to think outside of the box, and you have to do things differently. And what you had written down on a piece of paper and what you've studied may be very different in how you can implement something as a part of your practice. And I kind of took some of those same principles to the work that, in the community, whether it was the work that we were doing in Haiti, pre-earthquake and post-earthquake. We were training drivers and laborers in first aid and emergency response. And after doing that for a number of years, I had the ideas like, well, how come we can't do the same thing with violence intervention instead of me just being a professional lecturer? And so really identifying, what is the greatest need? Where can you go? What points of contact do you have? How do you build capacity so that the movements can continue in those communities once you've left or passed away or decided to tackle on another project? And then thinking about building that entire coalition. It might start with human capital and human bodies who are investing in the work that you're doing by donating their time and energy. But then you also have to think about the financial elements of it as well. I hate to, one of the things that I hate to think about, you like to look at these things as being very altruistic, but these are businesses. And if you don't have the finances to support the business, those businesses die. And there are amazing organizations that I've worked with that have died because the finances haven't been up to par. So, so partnering up with people who, some of my friends say, I'm not really comfortable talking with kids. That's not my thing, but I want to support. It's like, well, fundraise. Was like, well, I'm an accountant and I don't really know how to fundraise, but I know books. It's like, well, help us balance the books. The goal is to create sustainable, long-term, viable, and organizations that have the ability to adapt with different changes. One analogy I always think about when we started doing the work, when I started lecturing about violence intervention back in 2005. And back then there was no major social media, at least with Black folks, other than like Black Voices on AOL. But, as things progressed, especially even after we started doing the program, the access of smartphones, particularly with young people and social media, began to evolve. And so there were whole beefs and conflicts that started taking place over Twitter, over Facebook, over Instagram, which is, 2011, 2012, where people really started engaging with Instagram. And so your whole way of how you tackle violence and engage people has to shift. And you always have to have someone on your team who is open and understanding and willing to suggest that we adapt to these new changes.
Mm-hmm. And then last question is a rapid fire question. Answer it in 30 seconds if you can, because I think the next generation who watches us now is so important. And I want to give you each the chance to give 30 seconds of perspective on how you think the best way for youth to get involved in your particular field, or what you think the best way for youth to get involved in your field is. Dr. Gore, I'll start with you, then Jonathan, then Tariku.
First thing is I would write out your ideas so you don't have these things as random brain farts. Then number two, talk to your friends about these ideas because you need to be able to articulate those ideas to other people other than natural movements wind up staying with you. And last but not least, and I hope Jonathan touches base and Tariku the same, is you have to experiment with these different processes. Your first art piece isn't beautiful or great. The first design isn't great, but you've got to keep going back to the drawing board and continuing being in this for the long haul.
On our end, I would push any young people of color to research in their particular cities youth organizations that are built around the creative arts. I know AIA, AIGA, that's the American Institute of Graphic Arts, the American Institute of Architecture, of Architects. They have youth programs, but even beyond those, there's other infrastructures in place from city to city. So it's really just doing some research and figuring out what organizations exist that you can be a part of to really hone in on your creativity.
I would say, I can hear you. I would say for young artists, for me, it's always been about sketches and planning, right? And so I've always sketched out my ideas. I could sketch out 100 sketches to figure out what it is that I wanted to do and what it is that I wanted to say. So to have a very clear goal of how I want to depict the works that I want to depict, and to also understand the history of how these works are viewed and understood, meaning understanding art history from, even though art history is biased, understanding art history from all perspectives in order for you to be able to present works that is fully informed. So reading and researching, but also making works, and again, agreeing with Dr. Rob, experimentation, of course.
Of course. Well, for starters, I just want to thank all of you all for being here, both our amazing panelists. I would ask you all to give them a round of applause, but we're all virtual, so we'll do a little, I hope you all are doing it in front of your computers right now. This will be uploaded to social media channels, Facebook and YouTube after this is over. Again, the Men of Change Taking It to the Streets Smithsonian exhibit as part of the Anacostia Community Museum is on display now until May 31st. The address is 4800 Meade Street, Northeast Washington, D.C. You can see some of the work that we saw here in the outdoor exhibition form, but you can see all of it online at menofchange.si.edu. Again, thank you all, and we need to have one of these discussions once a month as far as I'm concerned, because what I learned and what I heard in this was unbelievably valuable. I hope you all at home felt the same. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Omar.
Thanks, Omar. Thanks, everyone.
See you, Rob, too.